Hey, what's up? Give me one moment here. Oh, wait, maybe not. Okay. So, how's everybody doing? How's the audio, by the way? Surviving. Okay, good, good. Sorry, I was planning on having myself more prepared, but I don't know if anybody you follows Shipwreck with Captain Morrow on Facebook. He's been having some issues with people stealing. Like this guy does daily pirate content, like pirate history that like given that he lives in South Carolina, like literally where some of the pirate history happened. I mean, he's got his like own pictures, plus he's doing a lot of his own research, and somebody keeps ripping off his content. Actually, two people keep ripping off his content. Somebody on Facebook and then somebody on Instagram. And I just got off the phone with him. I'm like he called me up, just filling me in on everything that was going on with that. It's like, what the heck? Why? We are such a niche community. Like, there's no reason for that. Uh, with the new channel I'm doing, I'm probably going to broaden out a little bit, but within the pirate community in general, like, we're kind of small. And like, even though Shipwreck's Captain Mara, like, he does a lot of stuff that branches into the fictional pirate realm, like even his community isn't that ginormous that there should be people stealing. Like there's no reason for it. We all know each other. Ah, so yeah, I was actually playing on a hat, but I mean, there's a hat behind me. Other side, there we go. So come on, guys. Questions. I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's things I probably have already answered and probably need to be asked again. I know y'all want stories. Let's go for it. And YouTube, I have literally nothing. I have literally nothing, YouTube, that you can accuse me of like, oh my gosh, he's how many? Okay, it's been 3 minutes. I am not supporting terrorist groups or anything else, YouTube, so you can relax. That's right. I normally do them like kind of what I usually do them late because I have to wait for the kids to go to sleep. Normally, like when I do ones with golden gunpowder, it's like, shh, shh, kids, shh, shh. This is like when I like doing them because I can be me and not dad me. I mean, although some of you like seeing me being a dad, so. uh, trying to think. So I found out I do have my really cool German-made pitcher and glass set. I do have that. I found this in my storage unit. Even though I don't like my mother-in-law anymore, I'm very happy she made me this. uh, found the one spider, but pretty much like, yeah. I found a few of the cheap coins I used to hand out to the kids. Yeah, I am still like, actually, guys, put it in perspective. I lost my car. My beautiful red Nissan that I was so happy with, the guy who took my computer and my guitar ended up totaling my car. That rhymed. That's great. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's why I still have the GoFundMe going, because it's not like there's little things. Like I even actually when I was talking to Adam just a little bit ago, it's the little things. Uh, like I have a piece of leather that is screaming to be at least two of the widow pouches. I don't have my X-Acto knives anymore. I don't have my punches to do the seams anymore. That's the sort of thing I'm dealing with right now. I don't have candle molds anymore. I don't have like my massive stash of linen fabric. Yeah, moving out. That yeah. I actually just talked to my PO the other day. I'm like, she's like, so why aren't you moving? I'm like, I don't want to deal with you guys in another state, and that's the truth of it. It's like, man, this year, sadly enough, this year is actually probably not my worst year. It's up there though. It's definitely up there. So, like, I lost a good chunk of my patterns, so I'm having to remake them. But in remaking them, though, I'm doing a lot more historical research because, like, whereas I used to cheat, I used to take like an almost close pattern and modify it. Now I need to actually just look at the original stuff and build it from there. So, I mean, the coat I made, my buddy had already cut out. Quartermaster Mark. The breeches I made, though, those I had to come up with from scratch. Finland. It's actually funny. One of my buddies from Norway actually called me the other day because he didn't know what was all was going on because he was dealing with his own stuff, and he calls me up. He's like, "What the heck happened?" I'm like, "Apparently, he's going through similar things by his own fault." But thank you, thank you. It's it's surreal because, like, in one of my posts after I got out, I even said like I wasn't sure I was coming back. I wasn't sure I even wanted to come back, and it's like you guys are the problem. Because you're all like, I actually one of the things people always tell you: do not read the comments on social media when you're doing content. Do not read the comments. Plain and simple, don't read them. Now, after I got out, I'm like, I'm gonna go read these. People miss me. People, oh, I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Also, even though what I have is not that bad, yeah, no, it's when you're talking to a lot of employers, any crimes are bad. Actually, I should talk to y'all about what I'm planning with the new channel. So, uh, the press yard, that's the title I'm going with. It's going to deal with approaching historical crime from the perspective of a criminal. It's not going to be like a lot of times when we talk about crime, it's coming from people who have never done time. I feel like I'm rapping this whole thing. So, like, the press yard is going to be focused on historical criminals, the historical justice system, everything else. and it's going to be doing a deep dive into what was actually going on in the prisons, in the justice system, what it would be like to actually be standing before the judges, what would it be like walking up to like Newgate Prison. Oh, what am I sewing? Uh, Funny you should ask that, Frogman. This is the practice piece for your own stuff. Yeah, if anybody wants to order stuff, I am back in business as far as fabric stuff goes. So, like, feel free. If you want to order leather stuff, I might have to charge more. Like, if you want something that somebody just like drunkenly put together, yeah, I can probably do that. If you want something that's really nice, clean lines and everything else, I'm gonna have to charge extra until I get my supplies. But yeah, if anybody wants pirate stuff, 17th century stuff in general, early 18th century stuff, I'm back in business. Uh, my patterns are actually better now. This fabric, though, I'm not sure if it's linen or cotton. It's a natural fabric. Normally, I'd be like, oh, it's cotton, but I've seen linen exactly like this. So I'm making this for myself, just to test it out to make sure my patterns are good. But yeah. The wife and kids are doing awesome. All right. Real talk moment. So let's talk a little bit about borderline personality disorder, also known as BPD. Uh, Typically, it's treated as like a no hope thing. Uh, Pretty much like if you're with somebody that's BPD, it will feel like that. It 100% feels like that. I I mean, I'm living proof that it gets really bad. Really good therapy though helps it a lot. So, if any of you have BPD or dealing with somebody that has BPD, either you get therapy, they get therapy. Yeah. uh I know Switzerland has it on their list of things that they're okay with people removing themselves. That's not cool. That's not cool. A lot of BPD is caused by severe trauma in childhood. Like for some reason people like BPD it's bad. No, it's caused by society being awful. Oh man. Yeah. Stand by her. My wife wasn't communicating to me what she was going through, and because I was trying to dig us out of our hole, and I was like, I'm focused on the channel, I'm focused on making stuff. We were not communicating enough. And when she finally snapped, actually, we both snapped about the same time because she was dealing with stuff from work, and I flipped out on her boss because I was like, nope, I'm done with this. You're taking this out on the family. I'm done. I can't deal with it. This is the problem. We're going to go fix that problem. I didn't make threats, anything like that. FYI. She thought she was going to get fired. No, it actually turned out the boss was actually leaving anyway. But yeah, communicate, 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 communicate. I cannot stress that enough. Yeah, that's the thing. Like my son, even like the other day, him and I were talking like one on one. I'm like, dude, you can call us out. You are allowed to. If you see something going on with us that you don't think's right, say it. Just tell us. Like as God dang, this could feel like therapy session for me. So my childhood sucked. It didn't suck that bad, but it sucked. My mom was always trying to be there for my dad when and she kind of ignored me. And it led to us having a very strained relationship. And she came out and was like trying to be like top dog mom. Like after they got divorced, it's like, oh, it's like, no, dude, you're my friend. You're my really good friend who I will listen to what you tell me to do. But my grandparents, they raised me. I think the worst part with a lot of mental illness is like I have PTSD. Even I do this, but like people with even harder stuff like BPD, things like that, all of us collectively, we attract people that have similar things. And sadly, some of those people are very narcissistic. And that's large part of why I'm like having to start over again. Uh, a lot of us with PTSD do have narcissistic tendencies. It's actually one of the big reasons I want to start doing this press yard channel because I want to start talking a lot more about the psychology of the time. Because, in case anybody does not know, I actually do have a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary humanities from Penn State. A big chunk of my education was dealing with psychology. I love it. I love studying it and then applying it to history. You start learning a lot about, like, you'll see certain behaviors. It's like that's a pattern that's related to this. Ned Lowe. I don't think Ned Lowe was a bad guy. No, I mean, if you had to deal with him as a merchant, yeah, he was probably an awful person. But I don't think him from the beginning was probably not a bad person. It sounds like he dealt with something really bad and got angry by it. Dang, dude. One of the things, like, going to prison, it was a lot of times, like, when we hear about people in prison, it's like, they got there for a reason. Like, they're bad people. A lot of them are not bad people. Uh, I know, Frogman, you follow JD DeLay. He made a great short the other day about, like, he went to prison with some, like, full-on murders, like, they had life sentences, they weren't getting out. And he would trust them a lot more than a lot of other people. And that's the thing, like, we need to start learning to disconnect the crime from the person, especially in America. I know Europe's way ahead of us in that. There are a lot of people who I met who were like full on admitted criminals who were not bad people. They made some dumb choices, yeah, but they weren't bad people. I think I've met more bad people without criminal records than bad people with criminal records. There's guys I did time with that I would totally like if I needed a babysitter and they're like, "Hey, I'll help," I'd totally let them. I hate to say it that way. There's people that don't have charges that if they volunteer, be like, "Stay the hell away from my kids." I'll put it that way. Actually, like, the big reason for me choosing the press yard as the name, that's what I compared our our county prison slash jail to. It's called a prison, but it should be a jail. It's set up basically to make you plead. It's not set up to house you, it's set up to hurt you. They can't torture you legally. It happens. I'm gonna admit that right now. From what I've learned, it does happen. The whole environment is set up to make you wanna get out of there, and you'll get out of there by pleading. That's the whole reason a press yard was the way it was. Like, I end up doing a little write-up while I was in of, like, which I found out you're not allowed to set up a petition and organize, you're not allowed to do that. I did it anyway. But, yeah, it's not a good place, and even if you have all the evidence on your side, that's actually the worst thing because they will keep continuing the trial to keep you in there longer. I think they have something like they say 2 years, but it ends up being, like, roughly 3 where they can keep continuing it unless you have a really good judge, which a good chunk of them are actually shareholders in the prison. They're profiting off of you being there. Yeah, you see how that goes. It's a very corrupt situation. Yep. I have 2 misdemeanors in the summary. Summary doesn't mean anything. Those 2 misdemeanors have gotten me out of a warehouse job. And it's like, honestly, that was like the point my wife's like, "You gotta reopen the business." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I do." And honestly, I miss doing this. I didn't think I'd ever do it again. Uh, I'm having to start from freaking ground zero, but honestly, I think my quality now is a lot better than it ever was because now it's like I don't have a backup plan. I have to do this. It's like it's now or never. To quote Bon Jovi, I'm not going to live forever. I've been homeless before. That was a interesting time in my life, I'll tell you that, but I mean, the army prepared me for it. I was car homeless and I had a job and then I ended up switching to doing gig work. So, I got the bright idea to travel. So, I went down the East Coast, back up, and then went to California, went to Wasteland Weekend. Like, my homeless experience was epic. I recommend not doing it, but if you have the ability to, you know how to carry yourself, you know how to survive, it's a great experience. I recommend everybody, if they have that chance, to do it at least once. That said, don't get yourself in that situation if you can avoid it. Corporal would probably well, corporal. Same pay grade. I was a specialist. E4 Mafia for life. Am I gonna make a wasteland kit? That's a good question. I want to again. I want to get back to it. I love doing post-apocalyptic stuff. I mean, those of you who saw my interview with Golden Gunpowder, like, uh, I love post-apocalyptic stuff. That is my escape. Sometimes though, like my life's kind of like mirrors it way too much, and it's like not an escape to write about it. But yeah, I love like my son. I don't know if any of you trying to think of how to angle myself so you can see my tattoo. One second. I don't know if y'all saw it, my Warboy tattoo. That was my son and I bonded a lot over Mad Max, and that was like, yeah. Actually, and speaking of tattoos, I got your 6. It's mental health awareness. I'll have to post it on the channel, I guess. But yeah, it's the Immortan Joe. It's Warboy symbol. I actually got both of mine from a guy. He was an outlaw biker who did tattoos out of a converted ice cream truck, and he did a lot. He converted a lot of my the text sketches and stuff into tattoos for people. So I went to him. I was like, you know what? He's already worked with my stuff. We'll go to him. I want to get it retouched. I'm not that happy with it, but it's still like this is somebody who's done my stuff before. I love it. I got this one from him. Is actually my first tat. It was after I got back from the army. I found out a buddy of mine had hit the delete button. We'll say that. Actually, the guy in question, he was a fellow reenactor. He was also an army veteran. He had enlisted right after Vietnam. He was too young to join while Vietnam was going on. He ended up enlisting afterward. A lot of people he went to school with had served. Some of them had died. He always felt bad about it because it's like he wasn't there. Uh, he ended up later on became a reenactor. He was like, I he was such, I hate to phrase it this way, he was such an asshole, but he was one of the nicest people I have ever met. Like, he would be very mean to you, and the moment he realized, like, you weren't gonna flinch, he would anything you needed, he would make sure you had it, and that honestly killed him. I mean, that's why I got that part of the tattoo. Yeah. Honestly, Imma tell you now, if you're on this channel, a lot of you have kept me going through a lot of bad stuff, and I know some of you deal with depression, things like that. It doesn't mean much, but you've all helped me keep moving, and that you're worth something to at least me. I think I'm pretty awesome. Dang, I was not planning on this being an emotional video. I was, like, planning on, like, sewing stuff and get some. Oh, man. But yeah, yeah. Refiguring out how to do breaches again. That is interesting. Thanks, Frogman. Thank you, Captain Hardtack. Oh, actually, I also wanted to take this moment to do like a shout out to some of the people that I got stuff from. I mean, immediately we have my quartermaster Mark and his family, freaking awesome. Uh, let's talk about this little piece that I got from a certain Frogman. Frogman made a ship's biscuit. It is amazing. Like, this thing is just I've made them before. This is incredible. Like, this is you could have done the holes a little bit better. That's my only criticism. Other than that, shape's good, the weight's good, the ability to actually hurt my hands good. Ah, so we got my favorite thing, the arrest warrant for Henry Every. Uh, when I did my short with the stuff, that was like my whole joke was like, it's the arrest warrant. Here I am. But that's from Shipwreck with Captain Morrow. The Colonial Storehouse on Etsy. I've known the guy that runs it for a long time. Him and I have had an off and on relationship. He's a good dude overall. Uh, he did World War II documents. I think his old page was like World War II paperwork, something like that. Now he runs Colonial Storehouse and he's doing stuff like this. Look at this. This is incredible. I don't know if I'd trust it in the rain yet, but quality wise is excellent. Shipwreck with Captain Morrow. I don't know if you can see there's like some stains and stuff, but none of the letters are fading. If you work with the public, if you might forget it in the rain, go with him definitely. Uh, I don't want to experiment with this because I love this stuff way too much. His I do too. We just sadly had a really bad rainstorm at the one event and I couldn't avoid it. I'm hoping that happens with these, but because I'll be at an event. I love doing events. But yeah, this is Colonial Storehouse on Etsy. This is the one I ordered. It's from Earl Bellamont. This is right after everything that happened with Kid, which I have I'm gonna have to do a Kid video. I know that. I don't want to. I hate that. I hate Kid. I hate dealing with Kid. Kid is my least favorite pirate. But this is one that's not listed yet. At least as far as I know, it's not listed yet. But this is actually William Penn calling out pirates, especially after his what was it? William Markham. I forget it. I think he was his son-in-law from or cousin. I forget. But yeah, after Markham kind of messed things up. That's Penn's proclamation against piracy. I'm hoping he lists this. It's a great piece. I love it. It's a little faded here and there. It's probably why he might not have it listed yet, but it's within the period. Rackham is not my least favorite. I mean, I was in prison with people that honestly, I can see where Rackham came from. Uh, Black Sales Rackham and real life Rackham are two very different people. Uh, real life Rackham, I mean, have any of you ever watched Chappie with the robot? Uh, it features members of the band The Arntwood who aren't, they've kind of been canceled at this point for good reason. Reading about a lot of pirates like Rackham and some of the lower ones, that's the sort of people that they were. They were full on criminals. Like they're not like romantic figures. They were criminals. Now, were they good people, bad people? Their crimes actually shouldn't apply on that one. But yeah. I would 100% though, I would definitely at least have one drink with any of them except Lolene. Lolene, no, that dude's scary. And Brasiliano. Like going back Buccaneer era, those two, I don't know if I trust them. Etsy is addictive. I found a guy that sells actually right there. Uh just partially finished wool felt capes, like heavy duty, the stuff that I was buying for like 75 bucks, mostly finished. He's selling them for something like 30 bucks including shipping. Like, oh yeah. I was one of the things was I was like, I'm gonna do a starting cost of 150 and it's probably gonna go up to do hats. No, no, 150 flat out, we can do that. So now I've like learned to actually fully block a hat. And I mean, I love this thing. Look at this. It's beautiful. And if Golden Gunpowder ever chimes on this, it's kind of why I'm like hesitant because I'm what he ordered and what I'm doing now. I need to redo what he ordered a lot more than I was planning on because even though it was good, I can do better. And it's just kind of waiting on having the funds to get the little bits I need to finish that. So, yeah. Oh, where is it? Right there. This thread I got from Etsy. Oh, so these guys are on Etsy. This guy's not on Etsy. He's on Facebook. Buckle castings. I know I did a short on them. I have been dealing with. I know I owe one of these to Frogman, and I got to do one for me, and I'm so torn. This is the factory second. I want to keep it. This is the non-factory second, and I also want to keep that one. But I'm like, I want the factory second, Frogman. Can I please keep it? This can be yours. It's top notch, and he just released same look but in sterling silver. I was just like, oh my god, they'd be light enough for a hat band. Like this would be incredible. So I'm trying to think of. I also got my favorite stockings back. Well, I didn't get them back. They're gone. Uh, Somebody in a certain reenacting group who I will not mention because I told them I would not mention them again if they didn't mention me again. Probably has them. But these are from WM Booth Draper. They've got the back seam and they're silk. I love them. 20 bucks. They're great. Uh, Not for winter, but they're definitely a lot better than a lot of the other stockings on the market for similar price points. So definitely check them out. Uh, Having hung out with the owner of WM Booth Draper, like, dude's awesome. Like, him and I have the same theories on cotton, which I can't remember the historian off the top of my head, but somebody beat me to my book, and I'm happy for it. Because apparently reenactors, especially in the English sphere of influence, did not think cotton was used for clothing in the 17th and 18th century. It was 100%. That's why we had the Calico Acts. But yeah. Any more questions? Come on, come on. I'm here. Honestly, the whole water discussion on that that's the same thing that happens with cotton. It's a game of telephone. People will say, "Hey, in the cities, it was a lot safer to drink a small beer, which is very low alcohol content." I know there's some Eastern, Central, and Northern European equivalents, but the only thing I can think of is the Russian kvass. It's basically a carbonated beer soda, I guess would be the best way to describe it. There's similar variations across Europe. That's basically what the beer was. It wasn't beer where you're getting drunk. No, it was like a soda. It had just enough alcohol to kill the nasty stuff. Buckles were not a myth. The giant, weird pilgrim buckles we always saw in the cartoons, those are a myth. Buckles did exist. Again, even when it comes to belts, with the exception of the French, they were a lot smaller. The French had some big ones. Sorry. My army side is very adolescent with my humor, and that just kind of cracked me up a little bit. I apologize. Yes. Yes, Frogman. We still have the ones. We still have that fabric. I was really upset though because like I was trying to do these breeches as longer and the pattern wouldn't fit. I'm like, I can't. I can't. It would not fit properly if yeah. So we have the Criers of London, the original ones from the 17th century. There's a French version. I forget what it's called, but they have a lot of good images of the hats. And you will see buckles, you will see feathers, you will see all this outrageous stuff. And it was normal. My wife's asking me where I got that headset. I tactically acquired it from somebody very close to me. Hopefully, she doesn't notice it. Oh no, she did. Uh, Foreign fabrics in so one of the big problems with I hate doing this. One of the biggest problems with English speaking historians is they forget that there is a world beyond the English speaking world. So cotton was already being grown in Europe by about the 14th century, possibly before. Uh, there's a lot of gorgeous printed cotton in some of the like pre-Renaissance paintings. Like it was a thing. It existed. It was real. For some reason, England, because of its isolationist viewpoint, a lot of historians are like, well, no, they couldn't have gotten it. Well, if you're a pirate, you 100% could have stolen it from anybody. And that's not counting if you're a Red Sea pirate. That's not counting if you are a buccaneer hitting some of the Spanish routes coming from the New World, which were transporting items from Asia to avoid going around Africa and Madagascar and all that. So, yeah, having foreign fabric was like if you were a pirate, I recommend like honestly building a pirate impression, especially Buccaneer period, late 17th century. I'd recommend having, like, at least a little souvenir that is a little bit out of place. Later, like, into the early 18th century, nah, I mean, a lot of them were stealing food. Earlier period, though, you have references stealing fabric. I mean, literally, one of the only surviving items we have from Captain Kidd, it was this silk fabric woven with gold that he dropped off with, what was it, Gardner family. Like, that is one of the only pieces of pirate loot we have, and it's fabric. It's fabric that if you made a copy of it, a lot of historians would be, "No, you can't have that. No, that's historically accurate." And I need to clarify, a lot of the popular historians where I'm talking about actual academics who have studied it, no, they would shoot that down immediately, what they say. I hope none of you think this is an history channel because this is 100% not. It's just that a lot of pirate history tends toward being popular history, and popular history tends to rely on a game of telephone as opposed to actual documents and research. So silks, cotton, cotton would be the big one. Certain certain random, like, if you want to learn about fabric, do deep dives into cultures that pirates and others would have interacted with, because there's a lot of fabric history that is just like, uh, there's actually been Spanish used Native American armor found in, I think it was, oh man, I don't want to say it was Mexico, but it might have been Mexico. It also might have been Peru, but it was fabric Native American armor, basically a fabric gambeson, but it was used by Spanish. Like, yeah, like it gets wild. I like fabric history. It's incredible. It is well worth every second of the research. Uh, Invictus, check out some of the Dutch prints. They they went nuts with fabric. Some of it was from India, some of it was stuff they made for trade to Africa. It gets incredible. Like, Dutch fabrics are just, you can go nuts, and it's historically accurate. So the big thing with the New World, like we're talking North and South America, because of the use of melee weapons, arrows, things like that among the Native Americans, you see a lot of armor being worn a lot later than it was in Europe. So that's a tough question, especially when you're dealing with the Spanish, because sadly, a good chunk of my ancestors, they had their own little fiefdoms throughout the New World. So you have to look at what was going on locally. So I think Mexico, I think a lot of the armor was cut out about mid 17th century, but I might be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure though a buccaneer would have at least faced somebody at some point wearing full on armor. I know they were wearing uh I forget the word. I Not discreet. Similar, it's a synonym. I'm not in the mood to pull up my phone and look for a similar word, but basically it was a small helmet on their head that they could wear a hat over, or a little bit of armor under their clothing. Wasn't this That's bugging me now because I normally know that word. But there's references to that being done. 1700s, I don't know if I'd go that late with but that's the thing, like, there were breastplates being worn, like, we're talking 19th century, so that's something you really, like, need to research on because you get into regional customs, and if there was still an active threat from traditional melee weapons, things like that, you might have armor going a lot later. Yes, Toadspool Tailoring did a really deep dive on a coat of jack of plates, and a lot of it was recycled. So, Toadspool Tailoring on Facebook, definitely check out her stuff. It's incredible. It's funny because you'll have people like they'll buy from me and then they'll buy from her. I'm gonna say it now. She is way better than me. I think she has a longer wait time. I don't know what she charges, but uh, as a fellow make like she's helped me perfect a lot of things that I do. So I will never, even though she is technically a competitor, she's awesome. A lot of times when I make stuff, I'll reach out to her like, "Hey, do you think this works, or should I do this?" Yeah, definitely. Check out her page. She's got a lot on like I think it was I forget where it was found, but I remember correctly, she's doing it for a Jamestown thing. So definitely check it out. Not skull cap. That there's a certain word for it. I can't. It's gonna bug me. I'm gonna end up having to post it on here because I give me a second. Give me a second here. I'm gonna figure this out. It is annoying me that bad. No, I don't want Legend of Zelda for a hidden piece of armor. I can't find. I'm gonna have to look it up later. It's aggravating me. Yes, Invictus. Yes. No, so there's a whole class of armor that was meant to be hidden. I cannot think of the word secret. That was the freaking word right there. Secret. It sounds so dumb, but like that's literally what it was. It was a secret. It was a secret piece of armor. Such an easy word. Why did it take me that long to remember? But you encounter that a lot in the 17th century. It starts to die off, and then it picks up again in the 19th century. And then we get World War One, and then we start having modern body armor start to be developed. It could be mail, it could be like plates, it could be a small, tiny helmet. That's basically what a secret is. And a lot of it was recycled. So you you might have your great granddad's coat of chainmail that you're chopping little pieces off, putting into your jack. It'd be things like that. Like I love the 17th century because you get so much weirdness. Like it sounds boring, like if you well, this country fought with this country, but when you start getting into the details, it's like it's better than Game of Thrones on the drama that was going on. It's better than I'm gonna say it. It's better than Warhammer when it comes to the weapons that were being used and developed. Like It's incredible. Uh, as I mentioned, my interview with Shipwreck with Captain Morrow, like it's it's cyberpunk, but set back in the old days. uh, actually, I even forget who posted the other day. They were talking about Cotton Mather. Cotton Mather of the Salem witch trials, 1692. That Cotton Mather, in the early 18th century, had bricks thrown through his window for supporting inoculation, which a lot of us we learned about smallpox inoculation via Jenner. I forget his first name. He used the cowpox, and he would like cut people's arms, put the cowpox in. That's how he had inoculation. The original way of inoculation was actually started by Arab traders, and then it was transported to the New World from slaves. Uh, Cotton Mather learned it from his slave. His household slave taught him inoculation, and it used scabs from somebody that had survived smallpox. He inoculated his own kids, and he was trying to push it out, and he ended up with bricks thrown through his window. Cotton Mather, Mr. You're a witch. Nope. He was being like, You're a witch. I think for me with the 17th century, the coolest thing is you have the modern world, like what we see as the modern world. We have a emerging middle class. Actually, that's honestly not the modern world anymore. We're like going reverse, and it's the same thing. We have the we have early capitalism, like full on capitalism, where we have all these intrigues with the stock market. We have a stock market, an actual stock market, and they don't know what to do with it. There's insider trading. It's all these things that's illegal in our modern actually should say it's illegal in our modern world. It's they haven't done it yet. They don't even know if it's illegal. Artificial inflation, things like that. Like this whole era is just it's as such different levels. Science that we know, medicine that we know is finally coming to Europe. It's finally growing, like, but there's still people who are like treating Charles II with ground up human skull and pigeon shit. Oh yeah, getting historically accurate fishing stuff is relatively easy. Right now, my biggest issue is not having a car, which again, if any of you want to help me out, GoFundMe's right there. The cars I'm looking at are pretty cheap. I'm actually looking at old police cars because that would actually be kind of hilarious. Me, an ex-con, driving an old police car. But yeah, there's a lot I want to get back to doing. And I mean, the sad part of it is it's money. It's well, the great thing with a lot of police cars, they are built for people that don't necessarily know what they're doing to kind of fix them, which is good for me because I kind of know what I'm doing, but don't have the best places to fix things. So that's kind of why I'm going that direction. Uh, I've worked with vehicles that were popular in the fleet market before. You just you don't. you can do with like rudimentary shop tools, fix things. We had one of oh my god, I'll never forget our Saturn View. It was one of the first ones built with, the oh my gosh, not automatic CVT. So when the CVT first came out, I don't know how they are now, because the one that I had was amazing. It was on my Mitsubishi Mirage. They didn't they thought they could completely close off the entire system and just let it be. No, mechanical things don't work that way. Our Saturn View, that's what they had, was the old school CVT where it was completely closed off. It ended up dying right as we were leaving Fort Carson, right after I got to my duty station. We pull out of the shop after getting gas, and all we hear is boom, and it just died right there. Whole transmission is gone. Meanwhile, my Mitsubishi Mirage, which was a total POS vehicle, but I absolutely loved it. I crossed the country, crossed the Rockies twice, did all that, and it was like pretty much just you had to make your own funnel, but you could drain the transmission, install a new filter, everything else. Like I love that car. It wasn't idiot proof because it was marketed toward people that didn't really know what to do with cars, but if you did, it was an awesome car. Honestly, a big thing holding me back when doing some of my videos, I hate the mouse thing on a laptop. I need to actually get a actual mouse, but I'm looking at the prices and it's like I'd rather buy a yard of fabric than a mouse. So I don't know if anyone to help me out and get me a mouse. I'll send you my address. Ah, wow, dang, I've been on here for about an hour now. I haven't sewed a thing because I've been too busy talking to y'all. Not that kind of mouse, Frogman. What the heck? Little, yeah, that's not gonna help me. Ah, I miss doing videos. I'm gonna tell you all that right now. I miss it. I I don't miss like there's been several times where I do like whole video. It's like, man, this is perfect. And I realized I wasn't filming it and I'd have to reshoot the whole thing. But yeah, I'm when I start doing so I'm still gonna do like some short content, probably some how-to content, probably lives on here. But probably my first long form actual video, it's gonna be over on the press yard page channel. It's the only reason I'm doing it's because of YouTube keeping me demonetized because I got accused of supporting international nasty people organizations. I just for you, Raymond. Also, this hat is for sale before I put it on. Just give me a second. Actually, I'll refill my drink and then come back right for this. Lord Neil, Lord Neil. My son, when I was doing this one, he's like, "You're bringing back Shadow Ban." I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to make a new hat for my." No, you're bringing back Shadow. Seriously, I'm seriously. That's what it comes down to, kid. I actually sent the whole playlist to one of my prison friends, and he just like binge watched it. He's like, "This is incredible." I'm like, Seriously, dude." Oh, I am not sure what it's called in English. I'm also not sure what's called in Polish because I forget the name of it. Uh, if you go to 17th century buy, sell, trade, I think it's called on Facebook, and look for my post with that hat. Uh, one of the guys commented below what it was called. The weird thing with this hat is it definitely came from Eastern Europe, more than likely from the more than likely from the war, and it made its way to England. It's one of the only hats we have documented in the late 17th century with official Royal Navy images. That's the weird thing. Like, you have so many hats listed in the slop contract, and then you have these on the pictures. 17th century, it's weird. Yushenka's a good description. Many cultures do, but this one definitely, like, it came from Eastern Europe, possibly Asia. I'm not sure, but the Poles want to claim it. The Poles also kind of stole my ones that were waiting for owners and one that had already been sold, but that's beside the point. Not blaming actual Polish people. I will blame a guy who pretends to be Polish. CJ. But actually, if you want to get into a lot of weird cross, I actually think there should be a book written about it. Uh, some of the longer coats, shakos, cravats. These were all things that actually came from Eastern Europe and went to Western Europe. And there's this whole period of time between the 17th and 19th century where it was like this weird east to west crossover. And I don't know why, and I want to do research on it because it's weird, but like we get so much cool fashion that came out of it. Reenacting creature. I like that, Frogman. I like that. I'm really hoping the groups that keep having him kick him out because he had the accusations against him, and now this whole thing. The dude needs to go. He's not somebody that should be involved with the public at all. Frankly, I'm not surprised he hasn't gotten charges yet, and that's beside the point. Not gonna put my suspicions out there, but those of you who follow American rap music, he definitely not like us. We'll put it that way. Probably you getting way too detailed on that one. Ah, well, I gotta get going. I have had a blast tonight. I hope you all did. Uh, Definitely, I think my next I know I said my next video would be on Captain Kid, but I think my next video needs to be like a channel introduction for the press yard. I kind of actually want to talk about press yards historically because it's a very bad, dark, scary story. God dang, Frogman. Take care, y'all. I love you all. Like, seriously, again, going back to what I said earlier, y'all have been keeping me going. Thank you. Like, bottom of my heart, thank you. Take care.